Hi, this is Kevin from LA Session Drummer. This is the mixer overview for any of our drum set sample libraries. At first glance, you'll notice there's two sections to our mixer page. On the left side, we have the instrument section, and on the right side, we have the groups. If you're recording a drum set, you're going to have all your close mics, you're going to have your overhead, you're going to have your room, and if you're going all the way, you're probably going to have that little overcompressed mic above the kick, pointing at the snare, which in our interface we call the effects mic. If I solo the close mic, we're only going to get the close mics, right? If I solo the overhead, only going to get the overhead. Same for the room. Same for that effects mic, right? So take a look again at the overhead. If I've still got my overhead soloed, I'm going to play this little loop I just made. But watch what happens if I move the panning knob up here. Right? This is not a right and left panning. This is just an imaging panning. And the same goes for the room. Now let's say I go over to the close mics. Well, there's nothing to pan yet because the instruments themselves hasn't been panned yet. So let's jump over to the instrument side. We have panning and we have volume, right? And that's gonna be adjusting only the close mic sample. So if I want to put my kick, my snare over, kick to the left, snare to the right, and now I'll go back to my soloed close mics. Okay, now if I go back to the panning, the imaging panning on the close mic bus, that's going to bring that back to center. This is one of the things that we believe is going to cut out some of your time in the interface, in the mixer itself, because if you want to be panning some of that stuff around, you're going to be panning it to the image of the drum set. And from there, you would like maybe put the drum set over in the right side or the left side or just off center. Or maybe you just want to mono the whole drum set, and that's as easy as just going like that. So think of our mixer as you're trying to place the mics as if you would in your recording session. You want to get a nice picture of the drum set, and then when you get to mixing, you can either mix from the stereo out, or you can mix by routing all of them out individually using what we're calling the multi-out pro mode. If you want to learn how to do multi-out and actually mix all the instrument samples and the groups separately, there's a different walkthrough for that called multi-out pro mode. For now, let's just stay with stereo. So we talked about having the panning, right? Left side is the close mic panning, right side is the bus imaging, and we actually decided that the effects can be a right and left just in case you want to line that up for any reason. But that is a right and left pan. So you'll notice this R right here. There's also an R up top next to the sends for the pro mode out. So the R's are for resetting back to default. You can either reset the routing when you're using pro mode back to its default position, and you can reset all of the parameters in the mixer. So if I'm like muting sends and I got filters and I'm muting stuff and so, I don't know, like turning compression up and panning things, and I'm like, oh, this mix is terrible. I wish I could go back to the default. That's what this does. You click the R in the mixer next to the fader, and then you go yes, and everything will be back to square one. On the instrument side, we have these tuning knobs are set to be by increments, one semitone at a time if you left click and drag. But if you left click and drag while holding Alt and Option, it'll go by 1/10. And then if you hold Alt, Option, and Shift, it'll go by 100. The semitone is really quick. Sometimes I would only probably want to tune it maybe even down half of one semitone, and then that's when the Alt option is kind of nice. Oops. You know what I mean? Because that's only... To the right of the tuning knobs on the group side, you have a tube compression, which is, it'll just give you a little saturation really quickly. I personally like it on a little bit on the rooms, so we've left that as a default setting, but you can always just turn it off. So like here's, it does give you a little more volume, but it's nice if you want to excite that drum set really quickly, but you don't want to like, you know, it's just a quick way to do it. So if you really want to like blow stuff out, let me turn these back on. It's a quick way to do it when you're trying to find a sound, which is our whole goal here, is trying to make it quick for you guys to get drum sounds. The next row we have is solo and mutes. Those are pretty self-explanatory. They do kind of connect to the mic sends, which are below. If you hold Alt Option or Shift, you get some extra controls here. Shift is the vertical and Alt Option is right and left. If the kit's wide open, these are all the mics, default position. But maybe I don't want room on any of it. So this is another way you can start dialing in sounds even a little bit more in depth than if you had drums in a room, because all of a sudden now I have the option of like, well, maybe I only want a roomy snare drum and I only want the distorted overcompressed mic over the kick only on the snare drum. So now we only have a room and effects send on the snare. Nothing else is sending to room and snare. It's important to know that if you do start soloing on the instrument side, you'll need to eventually deactivate all of those to get out of solo mode on instrument side, and the same goes for the group side. So once you enter into one of those, do your thing and then get out, and if you want to check things again, then on the other side, then you have to make sure these are off all the way. And this last little section down here, we have low pass and high pass filters. If you're going for a sound and you want to get it like right away, this is kind of part of our mentality here. It's like sometimes, oh, the rooms are too bright. Okay, just roll off the highs on the rooms. Or I don't want all the low end and the overheads for whatever reason. Or the overcompressed snare is like too muddy. I just want like the dirt on the top, like high pass it. We're just trying to make it easy. And again, if you want to use the multi-out pro mode to be able to mix every single instrument and group separately in your DAW on its own track, check out the multi-out pro mode overview. This concludes the mixer overview. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next walkthrough.